This is a video tutorial on using Photoshop selections. What we're going to do here in this video is we're going to go through and we're going to learn how to use some of these tools here on the left side to select different objects in Photoshop. We need to sometimes select objects in order to create a new picture or to edit a picture. So what we're going to do here is we're going to be making a object that looks like a chef made out of these different fruits and vegetables. So we're going to go through your directions here step by step to make this veggie chef. So the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to open up your Veggie start file, and this is what will come up with all your fruits and vegetables. And we're going to need to start to cut out the pieces and assemble these pieces here on the left with the pieces here on the right, your melon. So we're going to start with the eyes. So the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to use the right kind of tool for the selections. These first few tools are going to be the ones that you'll use, and if you notice, if you put your mouse over those, they will show you the names of the tools. And some of these tools, when you click and hold the mouse button on them, they'll bring up more tools that are related to them. So the first tool we're going to need to use is called the elliptical marquee tool, and that's just going to be used to select round shaped objects. So we're going to pick that one first. And we're going to make the eyes for our veggie chef. What I like to do is I like to zoom in so we get a better view of what we're doing. And I'm going to put my cursor, which looks like a little crosshair, right in the center of the blueberry here. I'm going to hold down the Alt key, which is right next to the space bar on the computer, and then I'm going to click with the mouse button, and I'm going to drag the mouse button out so that that circle goes right around the blueberry. The next step is I need to move that blueberry over onto the carrot. So I'm going to use my move tool. I'm going to go over to the blueberry and I'm going to move that on top of the carrot slice. And once I do that, I need to go up to select and then deselect right here. And that's going to set that blueberry into place. Once you do that, it is in place permanently. The only way to fix that is if you immediately go up to edit and then step backward right here in order to go back a step. So you want to make sure you do everything right, because if we save and exit out and try to edit this later, we're not going to be able to do it the way we're doing it in this video. So that's our first step, is to move the blueberry onto the carrot. So now we're going to need to move the carrot onto the melon. So we're going to need to cut that out. So I'm going to do the same procedure. Hold that Alt key down, click the mouse button, go right around the carrot, and we're trying not to get any of the white when we do these steps. That's what we're looking for. So I'm going to zoom out so I see the whole screen. We just go up here to View and then go to Fit on Screen. I'm going to go over here to my Move tool, and I'm going to move that over to my melon. And if I hold the Alt key down now, what I can do is make a copy of this object. And I can make my two eyes. And then the last is I want to go to Select, Deselect to set it in place. So our next step is to add our nose. And we're going to use another tool. It's called the Magic Wand tool. And the Magic Wand tool is used to select objects that have similar colors. So this vegetable here has very similar colors. So I'm going to use my Magic Wand tool here, and up at the top I want to make sure the tolerance is set to 50 right up here, because if it's not going to select the right amount of colors, and just to make it a little easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click now on my vegetable, and if you notice, it doesn't select the whole thing. To get it to select more, like this section here and this section it's already selected, I'm going to hold down the Shift key and I can add to the selection to get the whole object. And now I can go in and I can move that and make the nose. And then I will deselect that object. And if you notice, I'm zooming in. You can zoom in and zoom out over here on the right side. You can use the slider bar, and then you can move around in this little preview pane. You can zoom and move around so you can get right on objects. So we just did the eyes, we did the nose, and now we're going to do the mouth using the kiwi fruit. And I'm going to use my elliptical marquee tool again right up here, and I'm going to do it the same way I did the eyes. And if you don't get quite everything on here, that's okay. You just don't want to get any of the white. And if you make a mistake like this, just you could do step backward. In this case, I could just do deselect, select, and then deselect, and I could start over. And now I can move that kiwi over and make the mouth. And then deselect the mouth to set it in place. So that was step 6 in your directions. Step 7 is we're going to add the bow tie. So we're going to get this piece of pasta here, and we're going to use a different tool for this. We're going to go up here. The third tool are the different lasso tools. Now, lasso tools allow you to cut around irregular objects, and since this one has a bunch of straight lines, the one we want to use is the polygonal lasso tool. And the way this tool works is we're going to start, you can start anywhere, we're going to start down here, and you're just going to go in straight lines. So I'm going to click, and I'm going to move the mouse, I'm going to click again, move the mouse, and every time I come to a corner, I'm clicking the mouse, and I'm going to go all the way around the object to select it. And remember, you want to stay on the inside of the object. You don't want to get the white. That's not what we're looking for, because we want to make this look like real clean. It doesn't have white. It doesn't look apparent that somebody's clearly photoshopped this, because in real life they Photoshop models and people in magazines and stuff like that, and you don't see any backgrounds left over. So we want to do it real nice and neat. So once I select that area, I want to move my tie over and then deselect that guy there. Okay, we're going to do the chef's hat next. That's step number 8 in your directions. We're going to use a different lasso tool. We're just going to use a regular lasso tool. And this one is a little tricky. So it's just like drawing with a pencil. So you hold the mouse button down and you're going to go all the way around the object. So you got to be very careful. You go nice and slow. In this one, you just got to kind of get around the inside and just go nice and slow. And if you leave a little bit of extra outside that line like I'm doing, I'm not getting right on the edge, then that's perfect. Then once I let go of the mouse button, it'll complete itself, and then we can move this over on top of our person's head, like so. And then we'll deselect. Okay, so that takes us, that's step 8. Now the next one is our ears, and we're going to use our grapefruit here. Now the grapefruit, you want to make sure you use the fleshy part of the grapefruit, the orangey red part, not to include the white part. So the other lasso tool we can use is the magnetic lasso tool. So if you have objects that have two colors side by side that are very different, like here we have white and we have the red, I can go around those two objects right in between and select them very easily using this magnetic lasso tool. So I'm going to start here in this bottom corner, and all I have to do is basically just move the mouse right along in between those two colors, and it will automatically put in the line and the dots. And right here I'm going to click because I want to make sure it puts a dot in there, and then I could go right along the bottom and it's going to put the line right next to that red. And when I get to the end here, I can click and it will complete the selection, or you could press enter, either one. If you try to click, you got to make sure you match up both ends, the beginning and the end together. Probably be easier just to press the enter button. Now we're going to move this ear over, and we're going to need to rotate this. So to rotate an object, you're going to go to Edit and then Free Transform. And when you do this, you're going to notice that your mouse cursor changes when you get right next to your shape and you're on the outside of this selection box here. And that means we could rotate the object. So I'm going to rotate this and put it in place. And once you do that, you can press the Enter key on the keyboard, or you can go up here and click the check mark at the top to say, yes, I like the way it looks. I want to commit to this change. And then before we do a deselect, we're going to need to copy this, and we're going to need to flip it. So I'm going to make sure my move tool is selected. I'm going to hold down that Alt key to make a copy, and then I'm going to copy that over and make our other ear. And now we're going to need to flip this ear over. So I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, and then Flip Horizontal. And that's going to flip it horizontally so that we can have our other ear going the right way. And now I can do my deselect. Okay, so that takes us to the ears. The last object we need to cut out is our radishes here for our eyebrows. And so the easiest way to do that is we have this white background behind the radishes. And if you have a white or some kind of solid background behind an object, you could simply use one of these marquee tools. We're going to use the rectangular marquee tool this time. And I'm going to put my mouse cursor up here in the top left of the radishes, and I'm going to click the mouse button and move it down over to the bottom right. So my selection is going to go around the radish, and we're going to need to get rid of this white area around the outside of the radish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that magic wand tool now, and I'm going to select the Alt key on the keyboard. And what that's going to do is it's going to get rid of that white around the outside of the radish. And it's going to just have the radish selected. So now if I click inside that space now, notice the radish is the only thing selected. And we won't have any white around the outside. Now I can take that, move that over onto the face. We'll need to make a copy of it. And then we'll need to flip it just like we did the ears. So Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal, and then move it into place. We'll need to deselect, and then we have all of our parts cut out. The final step is to get rid of this stuff, leftover stuff on the left side, and just to be able to see our newly constructed picture. So the final tool is this crop tool here, and the crop tool will cut away anything that we don't want on the outside of a picture, so all we're left with is our final product. So I'm going to start up here in the top corner. You could start in the right, the left. You could actually start here in the bottom left, bottom right, doesn't matter. I like to start in the top left, just like reading a book. You start in the top left of the page. And I'm going to go around my chef face, and once I get it set, and I just have the face and make sure I don't have anything else, then I could press enter. Your directions might say return, but you can press the enter button on the keyboard or click this check mark up here. And all you have left now is your completed project, which you can save, and you're finished. So if you have any questions for your instructor, please ask them. Otherwise, this tutorial should take you through and explain every step that you need to in order to complete this project.